Hi, everybody. I'm the bee charmer. My name is Tom Falcone. My wife and I have been growing bees or keeping bees for over 45 years in Apples, Pleasant Shade Apple Orchard. And there's nothing magic about bees. Once we know their ways, and that's what we're going to do right now, we're going to find out the ways of a bee and how we can get them to do what they want to do, but at the same time take care of them because bees are needed for everything. A panoramic view here will show us that there's all kinds of trees and flowers here in this beauty. None of these trees would be here if it wasn't for the bee pollinating the flowers on the maple trees, oaks, whatever. But trees do have pollen and they need to be pollinated. Now in the spring, everybody hates pollen. Oh, I got allergies or whatever. But we love pollen. We're beekeepers. And so pollen is what they use to raise their young. And most of my life, my wife and I have been keeping bees. We catch bees from the wild. We don't buy them. And you can too. But you have to know their ways. And there are two principles I want you to learn. That's all I want you to learn from this blog. The first one is a bee will live in anything. So you don't have to have fancy equipment to raise bees, deeps or whatever. It'd be nice if you want to. I want you to get a catalog and look through it. But the principle is a bee will live in anything, and the second one, a bee will never leave his brood. Those are the only two things I want you to remember from this. Bees, bees are big business now, and they have all kinds of junk in the bee catalogs that you really don't need. You only need a few things, and we'll go over that as we look into a colony. And that's all we're going to do today is quickly go through a colony all the way down to the deep. So let's remember, beekeeping has been an ancient art. It's been here since the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, the land flowing with milk and honey, and they only had sticks and stones and stuff to put their bees in, but they were able to do it. They learned their ways. So with that point in mind, let's go down and get into a colony. Here we are at the entrance of the bees, and as you can notice, I've put some bricks here to reduce the entrance. That's because it's late June, early July, and we need to reduce it so that wax moths can't get in there at night. In the spring, we'll have it fully open. This is a strong colony. This is what I call a mother colony. Oh yes, and have smoke with you at all times. Even if you're not going to use it getting into the colony. You can get in the shade now. As we get into this colony, we're going to notice a lot of things. First of all, this is the top. Notice it's cocked right now. And that's to let air in and out so that we can have good airflow in the colony. And I don't have my bee knife with me. This is your absolute most important piece of equipment. I like the old-timey kind. It's called a bee knife. And so it's stuck right now because of the propolis or the bee glue. And I have a procedure I do. This is the inside cover. Notice they can walk around here and will when in this. Let's get into it and see what's going on. Yeah, it's stuck pretty good. I like to put this, as you can see, in front of the colony. Now, I'll use it later for something else, but these bees will go back in. Now here's this top super here that I put on not too long ago, and I have a way of doing this. I like to do 2-3 or 3-2, so I can remember the order that first let's free them up. They're stuck together. So I'll do 3 or 4. That seems pretty good. Oh boy, look at this. They're laying down wax. Okay, can we come over in the sunlight and maybe see this? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're laying down fresh wax. Over in the corner here we see foundation. which is one of the things you will need. And the type of frame that I use is called a wedge type frame. And there it is right there. And I use hooked foundation, which these little supports or wires hook into, and you can lay that down, and we'll talk more about that. But that's fresh comb that they're just now laying down in the top suit. Now what I do, since I know this is number 3, I set it down here in front of me. And remember, we always have smoke with us. Let's, for the sake of it, just show some fresh foundation. It's fresh foundation. They're going to build on it because it's exactly the size of a cell, and it's made out of beeswax. They do not like plastic. I don't like plastic. Some people do, I don't. So here we are, we're laying it down. And now let's see what else might be going on. Oh, honey. So they're laying honey up here. Let's go here again. Maybe in the shade's better, I don't know. Is it better in the shade?
No, it's fine.
It's fine. There we go. You see the honey that they're laying in? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not much. They're just starting to lay honey in there. Maybe we'll find one that has more honey in it. I'm sure we will. And just inspecting, it's the same thing here. They're just laying the honey in. They haven't capped it yet. And what we're going to notice here too is that there's a difference between the way brood looks and the way, or capped, and the way that I didn't do that correctly. Well, let's do it like that anyway. Like I said, I have an order to it, and usually able to keep the order. But they'll be all right. But it's really good to keep the order. Now, I don't expect this to be too heavy, but when they're full of honey, they are heavy. And it's not. So here we go. I put them catty corner on my top. Now let's see. Can we see here what's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay. This is completely full and has been drawn out. Now we're going to get into this. But before we do, we're just going to use a little bit of smoke to calm them down. It doesn't take much. As a matter of fact, if you use very much smoke, you'll taste it in the honey. So again, let's do 3-2. And, oh, we got honey here. It's heavy. See the honey?
Yeah, you can see that.
And by the way that I do this, I can flip it over. Oh, that's capped honey. They're capping that off. So in other words, that honey is ready. And we can look here, we've got drawn comb. Now, one thing we can know is that they'll do this from the middle out. And it'll be less and less as we go backwards. And more as we go to the center. See, this one isn't as drawn out. But this whole piece, we know, is nothing but honey. Now they're making a certain sound here, so I'm going to put a little bit of smoke and get a little bit more pine. I use pine needles. I use pine needles because pine needles have turpentine in them. And I've worn, I don't have, again, not good equipment and how dirty I am. Bees do not like soap. They don't like soap. I wash my bee suit once a year, but they do like dirty, and they do like things that smell like them. And we mentioned, how do we catch bees? Well, we have to make it attractive to them. and keep it attractive to them. If we put anything in here, chemicals or anything, I did use cardboard when I first started, but cardboard has glue in it, and I don't like glue. I expect this to be heavy, and it is.
Do you need help getting it?
No, I think I'm good. Okay. And again, place it on top. Now I use my cover. There you go. So not too many bees escape. Let's put a little bit more. Now notice how they're going down. It has little particles in it. And the little particles confuse their little antenna. And so if they want to sting you and they're all going crazy, if you put some smoke around, they become confused. So that's what we're doing really when we smoke. So let's go through the same procedure again. Let's free this up. Now this hive, or colony, when I started out, was laying. You want them to lay in the deep or the brood box. I was trying to make them go down, and I haven't completely. There's some, see these bullet shaped? That's drones, but it's honey, and they're capping the honey. So let's put that one down. That's number 3. Number 2. And here's number 3. Again, honey. Oh, look what we have here. We have some brood. Oh, and we have some young cells. Let's go over here in the light where we can see them. Okay, we've got cap brood here that's getting ready to emerge. But can you see the little mucus-like larvae in there?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
able
you
to
can.
see that? Okay, those are the bees that are growing. All the bees, are there any eggs here? That are growing, and they get 3 days of royal jelly, the drones and the workers. The queen, when it's made, looks like a peanut. Hopefully I don't know if we'll see one here, but here's more brood. Let me put my smoker down and get some more. Now, at this time of year, this is late June, she's pretty much done laying. So as soon as these hatch, the colony is filling up the cells with honey. And that's one of the problems, because at this time you can't manipulate them as well. And so we expect to see that, and we did. Let's keep going here. You see how this tool is so handy. More cap brood, but notice on the edge here is honey. The other one had larvae in it. Same thing here. As soon as they emerge, and what's going on here? These are little bees that are getting ready to hatch. Maybe we can see a better example if we keep going. And be nice and calm and cool. This is beautiful wax. Honey. Again, honey. There's some more brood, cap brood, but again, they're filling up the cells as soon as they hatch with honey, where in the springtime, they'll be filling them back up with brood again. And what do we have here? Is it honey? Okay, it's honey from now on. So we know we can just put this back, but we do not have to find the queen because we have young larvae. So we know she's been there and she's been visiting that part. So if she's going to be anywhere, she's going to be in the brood box, which we hope to find her. Cap brood, cap honey. It's got brood on it. No, it doesn't. Okay, so we can put that there. When you come home from work and you're all stressed out, get into your bees and forget about life for a little while. They are so mesmerizing, and fellow beekeepers, we call it getting the bee in your blood. So all of you beekeepers I know are excited about it, and that's a really good thing because generation after generation, as I mentioned from the days of pharaohs, have been teaching other beekeepers how to do it. Look over here at this colony here again. Here they are trying to come out. I'd say there's about 50,000 bees in this colony. We'll put this on top. And that way it reduces the amount of bees around them. Now, I usually don't do it this much because I'm in a hurry, but for the sake of a good picture, we're going to go ahead. Now, this is the brood box. This is where we want them laying. I don't have a queen excluder on it right now, but if we put a queen excluder on it, the workers can get through, but the queen has such a big abdomen that she can't get through the excluder. So let's look and see what we can find. Okay, we got some brood. Okay, this is pollen. Come on over here, I want you to see the pollen. The babies need pollen. This is what they got from the flowers and the trees. And right now they're getting clover. Well, I've seen a lot of clover. That's middle of summer. Now these weeds that we saw all around will be having goldenrod. That's a good sign of fall honey. Fall honey's bitter, so we really don't like that. But pollen is important. They put the pollen on the outside of the colony. And in the middle will be the brood. In other words, this will be honey probably, and then pollen, or brood, and so on. They stick together pretty good. Let's see what we have here. Go over the sun again. Okay, we've got a lot of cap brood. They'll be out in a few days. And cap brood. We should find the queen. There, look at the pollen. Can we see the pollen?
Where's it at?
This yellow stuff
Okay.
in there. So that's not honey, and that's not
Okay,
babies or larvae. That's pollen. And they need pollen to make the baby bee or the larva. So here we go, number 3. And they want to come up, but let's try to mash them down a little bit. Remember, this is getting into their antenna and confusing them. So, but don't put too much, just a little bit. Let's go back in the sunlight for that. See what we can see. We've got cap brood. We've got pollen in the corners, and that's what we see a lot. This is what we call a burr queen, but it's not doing anything. We want to kill our queens if we've got a good layer. We don't want them to have 2 queens. We're looking for eggs, and I don't see any. I see some young brood here and here, and the pollen in the corners. Let's go and look at the nest. It's starting to liven up a little bit. See some bullet-shaped cells here, and those are drones. These are workers. These couple here are drones, or males. These are females. In fact, all of these are sisters. Everybody in the colony is a sister. And I don't see any eggs, day-old eggs. I see larvae, and I don't see the queen. She should stick out like a sore thumb. But a lot of times you miss her. But again, keep in mind, if you see some larvae, young larvae, then you know that she's there. Let's throw in light again. I blew on it a little bit to kind of get an idea. Oh, wait a minute. No, here's free cells, but no larvae. So she's stopped laying, or she's slowed down a lot. Look at that. Isn't that something? It's mesmerizing. Isn't that something? They're just crawling over each other. We've got brood here. We've got pollen. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we've got some young larvae. Can you see? I'm going to try to hold it, but it's important. Let's see if we can see in there. Can you see any mucus-like looking things in there?
Not necessarily, no. With the darker one. Is it the one that's
The
like
little
dark
white,
amber or the white?
the white, the little white things in there.
Oh yeah.
You see them?
Yeah.
Okay, those are C-shaped larvae. Those can become queens. They only feed royal jelly for 3 days. And then just by what she eats, she'll get royal jelly for the next 16 days. The next 16 days. And by what she eats determines what she is. So if they need a queen, they'll make a cell. It's too late in the year now to find many. It's overflowing with bees here. There's some more C-shaped larvae in here. Let's see if we can see any eggs. There's some real young larvae in there. I don't see any eggs.
There's a queen, isn't it? Maybe. No. Maybe
No.
no.
Okay. I was hoping maybe we would see the queen. I don't know. We've only got 2 more chances to see her. Get a little bit more. Go to the front of the colony. Take a picture of that.
Can't take a picture of that stuff in video.
There's a lot of young larvae in here, so she's been here the last few days. She may very well be in that end frame. We'll go back and try to find her, but on this side we can see some young larvae. I don't know if you can see the mucus-like looking things if you put your camera around it.
Yeah.
You can, okay. That C-shaped larva can become a queen. And let's see. Come on, be here so that people can see you. Okay, let's go back through and we will look for the queen only. Let's drive these bees down a little bit. Okay, she's not in there. She could be walking around on the bottom. Could be anywhere. She could be in the next super up above. Okay, she's not in that one. She's not in that one. She's not in that one. Notice here how when I put them back in order, they stick together, just like they're in order. That's one way that you can tell. Keeping them in order saves a few days of them having to reconstruct what they've made. And we're going quickly so that all we're looking for is her. If you find her, she'll stick out like a sore thumb. Like I'm just rolling over each other, so many of them. I don't think we're going to find her today, but let's keep on looking. I didn't look at this end one. Look at that. So since I dropped all those bees, let's smoke the area up a little bit. That's the problems you sometimes have. course, the hive tool, you can do a lot of things. Like move this back. Okay. So let's get a little bit more. Oh, look at the front there. Sometimes she'll be wherever. I was hoping you'd see her. Let's see if she's in the next colony. I don't usually keep a bee brush with me, but I have one today. So I'm going to brush these bees off and try to get them to the front. There's enough space in here that we won't crush too many bees. Let's go. There she was laying up here, so maybe she was up here when we just missed her. No. 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 No, rude. Rude. Remember, we know she's there because there is young larvae. And if there weren't so many bees in here, it'd be easier to find her. Here's some queen cells, but they're always kill them. There's nothing in there. They're called burr cells. You see a queen cell will be usually like a peanut looking. Notice again how they fit together. And this is honey. This is honey, and that's honey. So we missed the queen, which would have been exciting, but in future blogs, we will make queens, which will be kind of fun. Starting the blog in the middle or late June, early July is not a good time. The best time if we had started this back in February, late February, we would see a lot more. Well, I think all we had here was honey. I can tell just by lifting it. That's heavy. Try to get it as straight as possible. But remember, I said a bee will live in anything. Well, if you've got cracks in it and holes in it, you put steel wool there. They'll glue it and fix it so mice can't get in there. And this was our super that they were laying wax in. So, there you have it. Now we're going to put the cover on. Right side up, and go ahead and close it, and we'll go back to the house. And yeah, let's come to the front here. Boy, look at that. Have you ever seen so many bees?
No.
They're flying all about, but they're not stinging. We've smoked a little bit. They're confused, or we're not threatening them. So let's go back to the house and take this off and talk a little more.